They say the hardest part of a tragedy, the silence that follows it. When I opened my front door that afternoon, I expected an empty house, but I found something far worse. My entire life changed in the span of a single breath as I stared at the people waiting for me. Suspense filled the air, because my sudden return was never part of their plan. My marriage to Evelyn lasted 23 years, and we shared every single detail of our lives. When you live with someone for that long, you develop a powerful instinct about their well-being. You can sense danger before it even appears, like a sudden chill in a warm room. That specific Tuesday afternoon, my intuition told me that something terrible was happening at home. I was supposed to be at a conference in Chicago, but the event ended a whole day early. I decided to fly back without calling because I wanted to surprise Evelyn with dinner. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the vehicle belonging to my son Bradley. He rarely visited without a schedule, so seeing his car there immediately made me feel uneasy. I walked inside and discovered Bradley sitting on the sofa next to his wife Chloe. They were not watching television or using their phones, but were just staring into space. The most terrifying detail was that Bradley did not look surprised to see me at all. He just looked at me with a cold, calculating expression that made my stomach turn. Chloe offered a fake smile that felt completely wrong for the situation. Bradley cleared his throat and told me that Evelyn suffered an episode and was currently at Mercy General Hospital. Fear took over my body, and I ran back to my vehicle within seconds. As I drove frantically, I called my closest friend Thomas to explain the bizarre scene. Thomas listened carefully while I described how emotionless my son looked during the encounter. When I arrived at the hospital, a physician named Dr. Zhang Larson met me at the desk. She explained that Evelyn arrived with severe confusion and organ stress caused by high toxicity levels. The doctor stated clearly that this condition resulted from continuous exposure over months. Hearing that information made my chest tighten as the reality of the situation began to set in. I entered the room and saw my vibrant wife looking incredibly frail among the machines. I held her pale hand and promised her that I would uncover the truth. After that, I walked to the lobby where Bradley and Chloe had just arrived. I held up my hand to stop Bradley from speaking and immediately pulled out my phone. Right there in the lobby, I locked every single financial account that my son could access. I watched the face of Chloe closely as the digital notifications began to hit her device. Her arrogant smile vanished instantly, and I knew that I had just started a war. I remembered how Evelyn sprained her ankle from months ago and needed daily assistance at home. Right there in the lobby, I locked every single financial account that my son could access. I watched the face of Chloe closely as the digital notifications began to hit her device. Her arrogant smile vanished instantly, and I knew that I had just started a war. I remembered how Evelyn sprained her ankle from months ago and needed daily assistance at home. Bradley suggested that Chloe could visit every morning to prepare breakfast and administer the daily supplements. At the time, I believed it was an act of pure generosity, but now I realized it was a trap. The realization made me feel physically sick. I confronted the couple near the vending machines and asked exactly which vitamins Chloe gave to my wife. Bradley hesitated and looked at his wife while Chloe stared silently at the floor. That brief silence confirmed my worst fears, so I ordered them both to leave the hospital. I sat alone with my terrible coffee and began to investigate our finances. I reviewed the bank statements from the past 6 months and discovered numerous unusual withdrawals. Someone took $11,000 from our joint household account in small increments to avoid detection. I called Thomas at 2 in the morning to share this discovery, and he agreed that the theft was fully planned. It was clear that my own son was the culprit. The following morning, Dr. Larson confirmed that the heavy metal poison was likely mixed into powder supplements. I immediately called my bank to permanently restructure all our assets with new secure passwords. Within minutes, Bradley sent me furious text messages demanding to know why his access was denied. I replied that he should have thought about that before hurting my wife. Evelyn was stable, but I needed to understand the motive behind this horrific act. I asked Thomas to investigate if my wife had recently altered any legal documents or insurance policies. By the next morning, Thomas discovered a massive secret that changed everything. 6 weeks prior to her illness, Evelyn visited an attorney to update her life insurance policy. She removed Bradley as a beneficiary and redirected the entire $2 million policy to a children's charity. Bradley discovered this change and realized he had a 30-day window before the paperwork became final. He and Chloe decided to eliminate Evelyn before that deadline arrived. The greed of my own child reached a level that I could not comprehend. I refused to be sloppy or confront them in public where they could prepare a legal defense. Instead, I contacted a powerful attorney named Eleanor Vance to coordinate our response. We gathered the financial records and medical data to ensure there were no escape routes for them. I learned that true justice requires patience, and I will ensure they suffer the full consequences.